You went silent. No texts, no calls, no reactions. You stepped out of her life, hoping your absence would speak louder than your presence ever did. But let's be honest, she expected it. She anticipated it, because silence alone is predictable, easy to digest. It's not what truly unsettles her. Many men think vanishing is the ultimate move, but distance without growth is just empty space. She won't regret losing you because you disappeared. She'll regret it when you come back as someone she no longer recognizes, not colder, not bitter, but stronger, wiser, and grounded. This isn't about proving her wrong or waiting for her to miss you. It's about embracing reality. You gave loyalty, energy, and presence, and she didn't grasp its worth until it was gone. Not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Now you're not chasing, you're choosing. This isn't for men seeking attention, it's for the man done breaking himself to be understood, ready to stop reacting and start growing. When she sees that your silence wasn't a pause but a turning point, that's when the balance shifts. If you're done surrendering your peace to someone who mistook it for weakness, show it with your actions. I didn't walk away to disappear. I walked away to evolve. Before we start the video, I want to remind you that my effective online course on mastering the dating game is available now. If you've been learning from my YouTube videos, you're only scratching the surface. This course takes things to an entirely new level, teaching you everything you need to know about the dating game, from approaching a woman to building real attraction. And you won't find this information in any video on my channel. It's available in both English and Spanish language, so you can learn in the language you feel most comfortable with. It's easy to access with a secure payment option. Visit thestoiccouple.podia.com or click the link in the description to enroll now and improve your dating life. Let's dive in. Number 1. Burn the illusion. You're not in pain because of who she is. You're in pain because of who you thought she was. The truth is, you're grieving the image, the idea you built, the version of her that lived in your imagination. She looked perfect in that illusion. She said all the right things, held you like she meant forever, made you feel like you were finally understood. But that wasn't her. That was your projection. She was crafted by your desire to be seen, by your hope that someone might finally stay, by your belief that love wouldn't walk away again. Now, take a step back. Not with emotion, with clarity. What did she actually do? Did she ghost you? Manipulate your loyalty? Make you feel like you were too much when she was never enough? That's not love. That's ego using affection to keep control. And here's where most men fall. They confuse kindness with connection, words with action, fantasy with fact. Every time you revisit the highlight reel, every time you hold on to her potential, you give her power. You keep her high in your mind, even as she walked away in real life. You can't let go of her if you're still worshipping who she never really was. A Stoic man sees without distortion. He knows the difference between truth and temptation. He burns the illusion not out of spite, but out of survival. Because the longer you protect the fantasy, the longer you remain trapped in it. You didn't lose a soulmate. You lost a lesson, and the lesson was simple. Respect yourself more than your desire to fix someone. She didn't destroy you. She showed you where you lacked boundaries, where you poured love into chaos and waited for it to love you back. So let it burn. Let the perfect picture fall apart. Let the silence remind you of what was always missing. Only then will you stop grieving the illusion and start building the man who no longer needs one. Number 2, become unreachable. No contact is where most men stop, but it's only the beginning. You think silence is power. Not if she's seen it before, not if she knows you're still watching from the shadows. Blocking her might remove her from your screen, but it doesn't remove her from your mind, and that's where the real war is. Disappearing from her life isn't enough. You have to disappear from her influence. She shouldn't be able to reach you emotionally, not through guilt, not through nostalgia, and definitely not through curiosity. You don't post for her. You don't hint. You don't leave digital clues like a breadcrumb trail. You don't play emotional hide-and-seek hoping she'll chase. Because the moment she senses you still care, her ego stays intact. She wins. And understand, Some women don't need your love. They just need to know they still have your attention. That's their fuel. That's how they validate themselves after they've walked away. You want to shift the power dynamic? Then stop leaking energy. Stop checking her stories. Stop decoding her silence. Stop asking yourself if she's moved on, because every time you react, even privately, you're telling her you still matter. But when you go emotionally dark, truly unreachable, you become the thing she can't control. That's what shakes her, because women who are used to being chased, I don't know what to do with calm detachment. They crave reaction. They feed off drama. Even anger is a form of attention. But indifference, that's terrifying. Because when she can't feel your need, when she can't provoke a flicker in you, she starts questioning everything. Was I really that important to him? Did I misjudge the impact I had? That's when her ego begins to fracture. You don't need to send a message. Your silence speaks. Volume 4 looms. Your absence doesn't just create distance, it creates mystery, and mystery is power. She doesn't need to be blocked. She needs to see that even if she reached out, there's nothing left to trigger. You've closed the door, turned off the lights, and built a world where she no longer exists. That's what it means to become truly unreachable. Number 3, master the void. Most men can't handle the quiet. The stillness makes them anxious. They treat the silence like a waiting room, just killing time until she reaches out, apologies, or returns. But that kind of silence, it's not strength, it's dependence wearing a mask. A Stoic doesn't wait. He uses the silence. You don't survive the void, you claim it. You turn that emptiness into your training ground. You don't run from the discomfort. You sit inside it until it bends to your will, because that's where the real shift begins, not in the arguments, not in the closure you never got, not in the chaos you thought was love. It begins in the quiet, where there's no one to blame, nor drama to distract you, no validation to feed your ego. It's in that space, raw and unfiltered, that you meet the parts of yourself that were bleeding while you pretended to be fine, the parts she never saw or never cared to understand. And while she's out there trying to escape it, chasing attention, keeping busy, faking that she's unaffected, you're going inward. You're building silently, stacking discipline, training your body, sharpening your mind, making peace your new addiction. You turn silence into your gym, your monastery, your forge, because the man who thrives in nothingness without applause, without comfort, without a hand to hold, is the man who becomes unstoppable. Mastering the void isn't about ignoring her. It's about no longer needing her or anyone to validate who you are. It means you no longer wait for her to notice. You focus on becoming the man who no longer needs to be noticed at all. You talk less. You move with precision. You rebuild in a way the world can't see until one day it can't ignore you, and she will feel it. Not because you reached out, not because you tried to prove something, but because the man who once bled in silence now walks in power. That's when she notices, and that's when it's already too late. Number 4, the mirror effect. You don't weaken her ego with confrontation. You don't need to explain, defend, or prove anything. You simply let her see the aftermath and watch her come face to face with the choices she made. That's the mirror. Not rage, not revenge, just stillness and consequence. Most men seek closure because they want to be understood. They write long paragraphs. They bleed emotion, hoping she'll finally get it. But all that does is keep her in control, because every time you reach out, you confirm she still matters. That's not healing. That's dependency in disguise. You want to shift the dynamic. Then stop talking. Let silence speak on your behalf. Let absence become the loudest answer. You don't disappear to punish her. You disappear to reflect her. You don't chase. You don't explain. You don't give her anything to distort. You become the moment where all her manipulation collapses, and there's no one left to blame but herself. This is the mirror effect. You stop reacting and you start revealing, not through anger, but through the void you leave behind. She expected noise. You gave her nothing. She expected chaos. You gave her calm. Now she sits in silence, not because you ghosted her, but because you no longer orbit her energy. She looks back and sees a man who didn't try to change her mind, but became someone she can't reach anymore. That's what fractures the ego, because you didn't argue. You didn't insult. You didn't lash out. You evolved quietly, deliberately, and now your absence carries a weight she never anticipated. No social media jabs, no cryptic quotes, no second chances disguised as strength. You just moved forward, and in doing so, you became her consequence. That's when the doubt creeps in. That's when she wonders if you ever really needed her, or if she just mistook your love for weakness. But it's too late, because you didn't just walk away. You mirrored everything back and let her watch it all collapse in silence. Number 5. Withdraw all validation. The female ego doesn't starve on its own. It feeds off signals, your attention, your reactions, your silence that still screams her name. Even after she walks away, she might still linger. A casual, like a story view, a just checking in text, it's not love, it's a test. She's not wondering if you still care. She's wondering if she still has power. And here's where most men fail. They take the bait. They post pictures aimed at making her jealous. They craft captions with hidden messages. They over-explain, hoping to look in control. But every one of those moves confirms the same thing. She still matters. If you want to dismantle her illusion of control, you must cut the supply. No reaction, no message, no subtle proof that you're watching or waiting. This isn't coldness, it's clarity. A Stoic man knows that attention is currency, and once you give it, you've already paid too much. Every like, every glance, every delayed unfollow, it's emotional spending, and she's already overdrawn. You don't owe her closure. You don't owe her updates. You don't owe her a performance of progress. Your growth isn't a billboard. It's a quiet internal flame. So move in silence, not for her to notice, but because you no longer care if she does. The moment you stop giving away energy like it's free, you start keeping it for yourself. And that withdrawal, it cuts deeper than anything you could ever post, because what her ego can't survive is not being hated. It's being ignored. She expected you to react. She expected you to prove you've moved on, but instead, you've gone quiet, not as a tactic, but as a transformation. She wanted space. Give her emptiness. Give her the cold vacuum of true irrelevance. And the deeper you move into your stillness, the more she begins to realize your growth isn't for show. It's real, and she's no longer part of it. That's when her ego begins to crack, because indifference, not anger, is what truly shatters the illusion of control. Number 6, transmute the pain into power. The pain you're carrying, it's not your enemy. It's raw fuel. You can either drown in it or turn it into the fire that forges the man you were meant to become. Most men sit in the rubble, asking, "Why did this happen to me?" But a Stoic man doesn't waste energy on why. He asks, "What now?" If you want to crush her ego, don't chase revenge. Channel the pain. Convert the betrayal into discipline. Let the wound become your teacher, not your prison. Because the most powerful man in the room isn't the one who talks the loudest. It's the one who rebuilds in silence. He turns heartbreak into hunger. He disappears into his focus. Gym, work mastery. He sharpens every edge she tried to dull. And here's the twist. She might have been the trigger, but she doesn't get the credit. She gets distance because you're not rising to prove her wrong. You're rising because pain introduced you to your real potential. The man you become doesn't need validation. He doesn't need anyone to fix him. He doesn't love out of desperation. He loves with intention, because now he has something no one can take. Self-command transmutation means you use every insult as fuel, every silent treatment as training. Every time she ignored you, you got stronger, faster, colder, wiser. This isn't about posting your glow-up. This is deeper. This is alchemy of the soul. You take what was meant to break you, and you build a foundation under it. And then one day, she looks at the man you've become. Not flashy, not performative, just focused, composed, unshakably. And it hits her. She didn't ruin you. She revealed you. You're no longer in reach. Not because you're hiding, but because you've ascended to a level where her version of love doesn't belong. That's what real power looks like. not in retaliation, but in transformation. Number 7. Become the man she can't replace. Here's what most men don't realize. When she leaves, it doesn't hit her instantly. She walks away thinking you're replaceable. Another name, another memory. She believes she'll find better, like switching out an outfit for a new one. That's where your move begins. Not through messages, not through chasing, but through transformation. You want to shatter her ego, become the kind of man she'll spend years trying to find again, and never will. But don't confuse that with showing off. This isn't about flexing your wealth, faking success, or trying to win her attention back. That's noise. That's insecurity in disguise. This is about becoming so rooted, so purpose-driven, so disciplined in who you are, that the energy you emit makes you unforgettable. You don't need to explain. Your presence speaks. Your peace is felt. Your absence stings. You become the man who doesn't fold under pressure, who doesn't chase empty validation, who moves through life with calm certainty, a rare force in a world full of distraction and noise. Think about how many men she knows who actually embody that level of composure. Very few. That's your power. While she entertains men chasing ego boosts, you rise into silence, into substance, into a version of yourself that no longer fits her definition of love. You don't become someone else. You become who you were meant to be before the noise. And here's the irony. She was the chaos that clarified your vision. She was the pressure that revealed your core. And now, when your name comes up, when your growth shows itself, when your path becomes undeniable, it hits her. She didn't just lose a man. She lost a presence, one that can't be replaced. And you don't chase. You don't post vague quotes aimed at her. You don't try to bait her attention. You just live fully, freely, with so much purpose that your absence weighs more than your presence ever did. Number 8, build a new identity in shadow. You don't evolve under a spotlight. You evolve in the dark. When no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when the world assumes you've faded, that's where the real work begins. Transformation doesn't happen in your posts. It doesn't happen in the comments. It happens when the noise fades, and all you're left with is your own reflection. If you truly want to break her illusion, stop craving visibility. Stop trying to be noticed. Become a man worth missing, not by showcasing change, but by living it. This is where most men go wrong. They want her to see the effort. They want her to feel the loss in real time. So they post updates, drop hints, perform success like a stage play. But that's not growth. That's desperation. And a Stoic doesn't perform. He builds silently, relentlessly, without needing validation. You don't post your progress. You protect it. You cultivate it in solitude, in early mornings, late nights, and decisions no one ever sees. You refine your habits. You strengthen your routines. You sharpen your body and your mind. And you do it not to prove a point, but to become someone unrecognizable to the man she once knew. This isn't revenge. It's reconstruction. You eliminate distractions. You build a structure around your life. You become disciplined in your thoughts, your sleep, your space, your energy. Because once your identity is rooted in who you are, not who you're trying to impress, you stop being breakable. That's what changes the game. And here's the irony. The moment you stop trying to be seen, you become magnetic. People start talking, not because you told them, but because your presence shifts. She'll hear it. She'll feel it. Not through your posts, but through your silence, through the stillness that now surrounds you, through the glow that only solitude can build. You won't need to say a thing, because when she sees what you've become, a man forged in discipline, unshaken by her absence, she won't recognize you. And that's the point. This isn't about making her regret. It's about becoming someone she could never reach again, because this chapter was never meant for her. Number 9, let her watch from afar. You don't need to delete her. You don't need to block, unfollow, or vanish. Let her see you, but only from a place she can't reach. That distance, that's the real consequence. You're not being bitter. You're being strategic, because the man you've become now walks a path she no longer belongs to. You've detached, you've rebuilt, You've grown beyond her orbit. Now she gets the front row seat to a life that evolved without her. That's what burns. See, people don't chase what they have. They chase what slipped through their fingers. When you were available, she overlooked you. When you were loyal, she underestimated you. Now she sees the difference, not through what you post to prove, but through what you no longer explain. You've become untouchable, not because you blocked her, but because she no longer has emotional access. And here's the key. You stay subtle. You don't flash your vins. You don't post for attention. You don't bait her with cryptic quotes. You lead with purpose. You share truth, not ego. You build in silence and let your presence echo in the background. She'll see it. Maybe through a shared friend story, maybe while scrolling late at night, but it'll land. Not because you said anything, not because you tried to make her regret, but because your life speaks for itself. She'll feel the shift, not in your tone, but in your absence. And that absence? It cuts deeper than confrontation ever could. You've stopped living in response to her. You now live aligned with your mission. That's the difference. You don't react, you don't chase, you don't need to be seen. You just keep building, quiet, focused, unshakable. And while she watches from the sidelines, trying to decode your silence, you move forward. That's the moment she realizes you didn't disappear. You evolved. And evolution doesn't include everyone, especially not the ones who doubted you. That's power. That's how you win, without a word, without a post, without looking back. Number 10, forgive for power, not peace. Forgiveness isn't about weakness. It's not about pretending you weren't hurt. It's not about letting her off the hook. It's about reclaiming your power. True forgiveness isn't about her. It's about you and your refusal to carry her weight any longer. See, forgiveness is the final move. It's not surrender, it's strategy. It's the moment you stop reacting, stop obsessing, stop feeding her ego by staying emotionally chained. Because here's the twist. Nothing confuses the person who expected your hatred more than seeing you unbothered. That silence, that calm detachment, that's what truly breaks her pride. You forgive not because it's easy, but because resentment is a prison and you're walking free. A Stoic man doesn't forgive to restore peace with others. He forgives to reclaim peace within himself. He understands that holding on to pain gives her continued access to his inner world. And that stops today. You don't forgive and then message her. You don't forgive and search for closure. You forgive and move forward quietly, completely without guilt, without a scene, because she expected fury. She expected a grudge. She expected your bitterness to last forever. But when you show grace instead of hatred, strength instead of spite, maturity instead of meltdown, that's when the impact hits hardest. That's when she realizes you didn't just walk away, you outgrew her. And that regret? It doesn't come from your silence. It comes from seeing you rise with no need to explain. This is the final frame, the last chapter. You're not bitter. You're not broken. You're not waiting for revenge. You're reborn. And now, she's not just out of your life. She's out of your mind, out of your energy, out of your story. That's what real detachment looks like. That's what true healing means. You didn't rise to prove anything, not to get even, not to be seen. You rose because something deep inside you said, no one gets to break me twice. And if you've made it this far, that already says a lot. You're not here to beg, not here to dwell on the past. You're here to rise, to rebuild, to become. This was never about her. It was always about you finally waking up to who you are, without the noise, without the masks, without needing to be chosen. You once thought silence alone would set you free. Now you understand silence is just the beginning. The real power is becoming untouchable. Let her wonder, let her scroll, let her feel the absence of the man she never imagined would truly walk away. While she plays emotional games, you build strategy. While she seeks attention, you seek truth. While she clings to the past, you move toward the future. This isn't revenge. It's evolution. It's the choice to never be that vulnerable again. You've become a man who doesn't need validation because he's already claimed himself. This is your season of silence, structure, and unshakable self-respect. Carry it with quiet strength. Speak less. Do more. Never let anyone confuse your presence with permission. You're not bitter. You're not broken. You're beyond that. You're reborn. If this resonates and you're ready to rise higher, like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I rise with silence and power. Remember, she didn't lose you when she left. She lost you the moment you stopped waiting for her to recognize your worth. If you're ready to take your dating life to the next level, my full online course is waiting for you. It's packed with powerful strategies you won't find on YouTube, and it's available in English and Spanish. Click the link in the description and start mastering the game today. See you in the next video.